Hi, my name is Frankie. Thank you for listening to my mom. I never listen.
You know, my face is going to light up and my voice is going to sound like it's at a little bit of a higher pitch because we got Maddy Siegrist on the podcast with us, Nothing But Net. Maddy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so Maddy Siegrist just happens to be an incredible baller. She's a bucket. I'm sure she's got a nickname. We want to know what it is. But right now, she leads the nation in scoring, 28.5 points a game. Maddy, Villanova, like, just get me the ball and get out of the way, right?
No, it's all my teammates. They make some good passes. Just gotta finish them, you know.
Yeah, I know you're going to be really soft-spoken about this, and I've watched your personality on and off the floor, so I know what a great teammate you are. But really, come on, 28.5 points a game. I mean, Denise is drawing up stuff. Sometimes she's not drawing up stuff. You're just finding a way to score.
I think it's just, stay patient within the offense, the motion, you don't stop moving. So you're going to get a different look every time down the court and, just being ready to shoot the ball when you're open.
It's not like you don't have other weapons. Obviously, your team is ranked in the top 25. You have a balanced team. You're playing in the Big East. The league has gotten more competitive. There's better nights in the league than there have been in the past where you've got to really show up. What's it been like for you your senior year watching the transition of the league getting better?
I mean, it's been so exciting, just the growth over the league in the past couple of years, just the way, there's less of a gap from the top to the bottom now. Like everybody, you got to bring your A game every single night. You could, Butler didn't win many games last year, and they were played such a tough game the other day. And just seeing that, it's exciting. It's fun. If you're a gamer, you love that. You love the tight games like that. So just kind of embracing it and just like being excited about it.
All right. So, I mean, do you have a nickname? I mean, what do people call you? I know in Philly, there's got to be something that's carried with you through your entire path.
One of our managers, Rachel Grace, she actually has nicknames for everyone. Hers is RG3. So everyone has one. Mine has evolved over time. It used to be Maddy Ice, and now it's like Ice in the Veins. It changes based on the game.
I'll take ice any way you want it. And Rachel Grace happens to be a really good friend of mine as well. So I know exactly who you're talking about. RG3, baby. Yeah, me and Rachel, we're friends from, we met this summer at the National Down Syndrome Convention. I have her cell phone. She and I keep in touch, and I'm really proud of what she's doing.
Oh, yeah. She's the best, and she loves the nicknames. She's got one for everybody. So.
Well, I'm going to have to ask her what my nickname's going to be because I would love for her to give me one.
Oh, yeah. She's going to have to think about it. It usually takes 24 hours to get back to you on that. She'll
get back to me. I know she will.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have a target. You got a big fat target on your back. I mean, every scouting report is designed to try to minimize your catches, your touches, everything that you do. I mean, it's pretty much common knowledge they can't stop you. They only hope to contain you. What's that like?
I think you just gotta kind of embrace it a little bit. Like, you wouldn't want it any other way. And just kind of embracing it. And I think that's something, as my career has gone on in Villanova, instead of being like, I don't understand why they're gonna double like that, just kind of be like, all right, just take your time. It doesn't matter when you're shooting the ball. If you're shooting over 2 people or 1 person or 3 people, like you're just doing the basket and kind of having that mentality. And, practice, I'm really fortunate. Denise really pushes me every single day, whether it's like, they switch up the defensive scheme, they'll put just different things. So you've seen it all. And just leaning on my experience that I've had in games, just knowing that no matter what the other team's going to throw at me, like you've seen it before, you've played against it. And just kind of having that, it kind of settles me and just, lets me play my game.
You're a legitimate 6'1" with length, right?
Yeah.
Fair, right?
Yeah.
You're in the conversation on the national landscape for every award. And yet you never seem to have a bad day. I've been told that the best players have to show up for practice and can't ever have a bad day. Denise can never have a bad day at practice. What is that like to have that kind of responsibility, and where does the mental toughness come in?
Yeah, I think it's just, there's a huge part of the mental part of the game. I think once you get to a certain level, for you to continue to grow, it's all mental, honestly, like to be able to take your game to that next level. And just knowing that you have to show up every day, because not only, do you have a responsibility, like as one of the better players, but like to your teammates, like you got to show that I'm going to work this hard every day. And so do you guys, and you guys have to as well. And I think, being able to have those tough conversations with Denise, like she gets on me all the time, like, not all the time, but if I've ever having like a rough start to practice, she'll be like, nope, you're good. Like turn around, let's go. And, just having that relationship, really helps you, and it always keeps you in check. You're like, okay, I gotta, try a little bit harder, talk a little bit more, whatever it is that you got to do more. Just being ready to accept that challenge.
So I know that Villanova is a Jesuit school and it's based on service. So I look at the game like you got to serve the game to make it easier for your teammates. So everything that you do, from how hard you cut to how hard you run the floor, or how well you follow the defensive scouting report, all those things are so important. Where inside the game do you see yourself as a servant to your teammates?
Well, there's actually like nothing that's more exciting to me than like when I make like a back cut and 3 kids come with me and they skip the ball and somebody gets a wide open 3 and makes it. I'm like, if that's what I got to do to help my team win tonight, and that's what we'll do. And just having that responsibility, like for your teammates, like you want them to succeed and you want them to be put in the right spot, so that if I can draw a lot of attention, on the offensive end from the other team, then maybe they're going to get easier looks, and then they hit a couple looks and I'm going to get easier looks. And just knowing that the game goes in waves, and it's going to be like, it's just going to be up and down, and just kind of trying to stay steady the whole time.
On the national landscape, we're talking about Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, Haley Van Lith, AZ Fudd's getting ready to come back at UConn. There's several other, Angel Reese at LSU. I could keep going down the list. There are a lot of great players in the game. And I think sometimes people might forget about the nation's leading scorer at Villanova. Do you feel snubbed in any way? And is it anything that you think about or care about?
Not really. Obviously there's so many great players, and it's kind of just been like you have the underdog mentality like your whole career. Villanova was my biggest offer coming out of high school, so there's days I got to remind myself that, and like I just wanted to play here, I wanted to be good enough to play here. And then you obviously just keep raising the bar for yourself, but the accolades and stuff like that is great, but that's not why I play. You just try to be the best version of yourself every day, and the best version of yourself, like, it's going to be different every day, and kind of accepting that you can have the best that you could play one day is like 1,000,000 points, you win by 20, it's great. And then the other day it might be you just squeak by a win, you struggled offensively, but you did your assignment defensively, you grabbed a lot of rebounds. Like, just finding the way every night, and just just relying on your teammates and your coaches and stuff like that.
So Maddy, I'm assuming that you were recruited by the great Harry Perretta, and there was a succession plan with Denise that we all sort of knew was in place, that was going to happen when Harry was ready. I know you're friends with Harry, and I know Harry is actively involved in your day-to-day or your week-to-week, just because he can't help it. Harry's a straight up baller like you. He's all about ball all the time. What has it been like managing your relationship with Harry while managing it with Denise as well? Or are they like, I know they're not the same people, but they do have like-mind thinking around the game?
Yeah, definitely. I a couple of kids on the team and we always shoot with Harry a couple times a week. But he's definitely done a good job of like removing himself, like, in a way. He comes to practice sometimes when he can, but he keeps himself very, very busy in retirement, if you ask him. But just kind of knowing that, everyone here, like Harry and Denise, everyone's just trying to help you become the best version of yourself, which is, so exciting. It always is so helpful. They get along so well. They have such a great relationship. So it really just made the transition as smooth as possible, which was, was huge as a player.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who does not like Harry Perretta. I think Denise is probably making practice time during days of our lives, or during the days that he's supposed to be volunteering at recess at the elementary school. That way you keep them away from practice.
Yeah. So funny.
He's really funny. You got one good Harry story you could share with us, either through recruiting or just how much you know him, that everyone listening to this podcast are all mostly basketball people and they all adore Harry.
Oh gosh, there's a million. I remember one time, like, it always stands out to me because I think it was one of the biggest growing points in my game. We were playing at Providence my freshman year. I'd just been named Big East Freshman of the Year. Like, I'd gotten a couple things like that. And, like, he's not a typical, like, great job type of coach. So I struggled. I was, like, 0 for 5 to start the first quarter. Like, I just couldn't. I was rushing. I was, like, not playing. He called me over. I got subbed out. I remember for like 2 minutes, he wasn't even watching the game. He just turned and was just like laying into me and was like, you know, you have the potential to be so good. And like, it's all like good stuff if you listen, but the way he's like yelling at you, you're like really taken back. And I remember just like thinking, like, after the game, like processing, I was like, wow, I think that was a compliment. I think, like, asking one of the older girls, like, I was like,
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be like good? Like, was that supposed to be motivational? And she was like, well, you played great in the second half. Like, you got it going after that. And I just remember thinking, like, oh my gosh, like, this guy.
He's wonderful. He is adored by so many. I call him a friend as well. And I have a lot of Harry stories too, but I'm not going to tell them right now. So look, I carry my ball around with me pretty much all the time, Maddie. I mean, you carry your ball around the campus, around class, to the playground. What do you do?
I don't bring it to class, but when we go to the beach in the summer, I always have a ball near you. So there's always one in the back of my car. In case, you never know when you're going to roll up on a court.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Where did you first fall in love with the game?
Probably the driveway, playing against my brothers, my sister, my parents, just like, playing with all the neighborhood kids. I remember I couldn't wait to get home from school and just like play against them. We play a million games. That's why sometimes now, even after practice, we'll grab a couple of the other kids and play like taps. We'll play one-on-one, like just for fun, just so
Yeah, I love it. What do you feel like is your greatest motivating factor this season?
I think it's whatever you do, like, to do the best you can. Like, my religion, my faith is really important to me, and just continuing to give all your success to God, just realizing that you couldn't do it without a greater power and without the people around you. I think constantly reminding myself that has made me like be able to manage everything and just keep trying to do the best I can and try to put the team in the best position we can.
Your name is in a sentence, speaking of God, with Shelly Pennefather, almost in every release or every discussion now around Villanova basketball from a historical perspective. She did win the Wade Trophy in 1987. And there's ESPN did a wonderful story on Shelly Pennefather and her relationship with Harry and the track and the stories about Harry going up to visit her and visiting the nuns. When you think about what Shelly Pennefather has meant to Villanova athletics and women's basketball, and you think about your name being tied together with her, how does that make you feel?
I mean, it's such an honor. It's such an honor. I was fortunate enough, Harry brought me there the last 3 summers to meet her when he goes to visit. And, I've been able to exchange a lot of letters with her throughout the years, but we're just so fortunate. I mean, just the stories you hear when you're in her presence, it's like, you're almost like taken back. You don't even know what to say.
I mean, I got chills hearing that. I did not know that you had been to visit her. What's that experience been like? She's in a monastery, right? Is that what you call it?
Yeah. So, it's really cool. Harry goes and he brings, and Lynn Ty, and they bring like so much food. We go to the grocery store and you pretty much just run around until Harry tells you to get everything, and you're just putting as much as you can in the cart. And then you go into the silver room. Well, he goes first, and then Lynn goes, and then you go for like the last 20 minutes. And they're given like an hour. The interesting thing is you put the food and then it like spins on the shelf to the other side. Like you don't like go into the other side at all, but just like seeing her through like this like shield almost, it's just so special. And just how like normal like she was, I guess the first time I was so taken back. Like she's like aware of some things like through letters, but not others. Like I remember we went with COVID and trying to explain that was like,
Oh,
she
wow.
couldn't really understand, like, like, because their life didn't change a ton. Like there's only about 12 or 14 people in there. So they're really in a intimate setting.
When you are across the plexiglass from Shelly Pennefather, is there anything inspirational or divine intervention or anything that you can provide that would be interesting? Because I'm getting chills thinking about knowing that she can only have a certain number of visitors every year and you get to be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, just talks about how happy she is and how she found God. Like, not found God, obviously she's had God her whole life, but she was like, I would never choose this life. Like I was called to this life, and I've never felt more full and more alive. And just like hearing that, like that's like the closest I think that order, and it's almost the closest you can be to God while still being alive. And just hearing like, how happy she is and like her whole like the routine they go to, like it's such a foreign like concept, like but their whole life is devoted to God. So we think about, we go to mass a couple times a week, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, her whole life, like they wake up in the middle of the night to go pray with God when he was in the garden by himself. So from like 12 to 1 a.m. they're in church, like just such a interesting like and spiritual life. Just hearing about it, it's just so inspirational.
Her dedication is unworldly, right? And your game is sort of unworldly. And there's not many players that can do what you can do, Maddy. When you take a step back and you think about perspective around all that you've accomplished so far, how much more you have in front of you left in your career, not just at Villanova, but when you start thinking about the season and moving forward in the next few weeks, there's not that much time left, really. We're more than almost halfway through most conferences, and we're going to get into the postseason. When you start thinking about your legacy at Villanova and what you've been able to accomplish with your teammates, what do you think you'll remember the most? And then what do you want people to remember about you?
I think what I'll remember the most are definitely like, some of the big wins with your team, like, some of the things you'd be able to like overcome. Like I always like something I'm so proud of is like the way I got hurt my redshirt year and was able to like come back in the way I like pursued that injury. And then like with my teammates, like going through COVID and like playing a season, like that's something, you're gonna remember forever. So I think just all the adversity and just like how you were able to respond to it. And the way I want people to remember me is like someone who like played the game, like I don't want to say the right way, like that's silly, but just did the best they can, made their teammates better, was like fun to watch, stuff like that.
Well, you are fun to watch, and many are going to remember your name long after because of the way you play and how hard you play and how much you love the game and how well you serve your teammates. It's been an honor to have you on here. And if you ready to come back in a few more weeks, we'll welcome you back anytime.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for having me.